Torah Ohr, Parshas Boy, page Samach. This mimer was said by the Alter Rebbe, Parshas Boy. That year was Hey Shvat Tov Kuf Samach Hey, which is 1805. 1805, the Alter Rebbe said this mimer. Now, Torah Ohr and the Kutei Torah are mamorim that was said by the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe said many mamorim. These mamorim were the ones chosen by the Tzemach Tzedek. Now, in the different mamorim of the Alter Rebbe, he had different manichim. He had his brother the Maril, he had his children, he had the Tzemach Tzedek, he had about 6 different subscribers that actually subscribed Torah Ohr. So this mimer, which the Tzemach Tzedek chose to put in Torah Ohr, is actually written by the Alter Rebbe's son, Reb Moshe, and like we said, it was said in the year Tov Kuf Samachay, 1805. Okay, let's begin. The pasuk says in our parsha, "Be'etzem mazeh yotzu kol tzivos Hashem eretz Mitzrayim." At the essence of that day, it says, "V'hine, behold, be'etzem mazeh." At the essence of the day, yotzu kol tzivos Hashem. All the literally means the soldiers of Hashem, which refer to the Yidden, left Eretz Mitzrayim. This speaks about when the Yidden left Mitzrayim, they left at the essence of the day. The Alter Rebbe says, "Hine Amr Razal," the Gemara in Brachos. The Aflamed Aleph Amr Beis says, Al Chana, it says in regards to Chana, "V'yem shebara Kadosh Baruch Hu Seilamei," from the day that Hashem created the world, Lehoya Adam Shekoyer LaKadosh Baruch Hu Tzvois. Nobody called Hashem with the word Tzvois, with the name Tzvokis, Ad Shebasa Chana, until Chana came. Chana was the first one to call Hashem, like the pasuk says, Ukraosei Tzvois. Chana was the first one to call Hashem with the name Tzvokis. The Hainu, what does that mean? She pascha tchila likras HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Chana was the first one to call Hashem Havaya Tzvokis, Hashem Tzvokis. Ra'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem said, Osid ben Shalach Lifteach b'nevuas b'shem zeh. Eventually, your son Shmuel is going to start his prophecy with this name Tzvokis. As it says in Shmuel Aleph, Tesvav Aleph telling Shaul HaMelech to wipe out Amalek. So the pasuk says that Shmuel said Hashem Tzvokis. Pakadati chuli. And the later Nevi'im also prophesies with the name of Tzvokis. And the Nevi'im, Chagis, Chayim Malachi, from all the Nevi'im, they used and they prophesied with the name Tzvokis. You can come up here. Okay, the Kaim Alon, and we paskin, we establish, the Gemara in Shavuos says, the Tzvois hu min Hashem she'ein mechokim, that Hashem has 7 names that you're not allowed to erase, and from the 7 names, Tzvois is one of them, which is interesting. The 6 names of Hashem, right, Havaya, Elikim, that's written in the Torah. So that everybody agrees that you're not allowed to erase. Tzvokis, that's already a machlekes. The Rambam, it's a machlekes already in the Gemara between the Chachamim and Rabbi Yossi. And the Rambam paskins like the Chachamim that Tzvokis is one of the names that can't be written. Even though who brought it, it was not in the Torah or not in the Chamisha Chumshe Torah, it was already only brought later. Okay, so he says like this, So he says to understand Tzvokis, we first have to preface B'chlal the idea of names. Gam Mailis Shem HaMiyuchad Shem Havaya. We also have to understand this special name, Shem HaMiyuchad of Havaya. Al Shar Shemis, over the other names. So once we understand Havaya, then we can understand the name of Tzvokis. He says, it's known that the essence of Ein Sof, it's in a way, Ein Sof is very simple, simplistic. And when it comes to the essence of Hashem, it's not shaykh any titles like it says in Nevi'im and in the Gemara. Kamoi, for example, Chochem, Chosid, Rachman, and this that we say that Hashem is a wise person, Hashem is a smart person, Hashem is a merciful person. So all these titles, Hashem is really uplifted and exalted higher than all these names. Chachma, when we refer to the Chachma of Atzilos, that's the first level of identity that we have a Shaykhus to Hashem. That's the level of Chachma of Atzilos. When it comes to the level of Chachma of Atzilus, even though Chachma of Atzilus is a very high level, nevertheless, when it refers to the essence of Hashem, Chachma of Atzilus and the level of Asiyah Gashmis, the lowest level, all are basically the same. And for sure, when it comes to the emotions of Hashem, they also are be'ein aroich to the essence of Hashem. Like it says, the lav mikol ilin midas iyo klal. Like it says that Hashem is not part of his midas. In other words, the essence of Hashem is not his midas. Ukaneda, like it's known. Like the Rebbe, the Rebbe used to say a lot. There's a sikh in Tashrim Mem Zayin. The Rebbe used to say that even when you say that Ein Soif is be'ein aroich to, let's say, Chachma Vatzilos, that's also not a very true terminology, because when you say that a person's Be'ein Areich, that means you can have a Havamin, or you could think that they have some connection one to another. A guy has $1 million, a guy has $1 billion. Each one has money, but the guy who has $1 billion is a lot more than the $1 million one. When you say that the Eibishter is Be'ein Areich, it's also not a correct title. So when it comes to the essence of Hashem, there's no shaykhus whatsoever to his names, and when it comes to the names, that's not the essence of Hashem. So he says, "Vafal bikein yish mitzias inyan atayna alalu shebo b'tanach v'divrei Chazal." Even though we're saying that Hashem, the essence or in Seif of Hashem, is not his names, nevertheless we find that in Tanakh and Chazal they use different expressions to express who Hashem is. The Hainu al derech Maimer Hazal, it's like what the Gemara Megillah says, wherever you find the greatness of Hashem, Sham atameitze an v'sanusay, there you find the humility of Hashem. Hashem lowers himself and humbles himself to enclose himself in the 10 kelim of Atzilos, Shem Chinas, which what are the 10 kelim? What are the 10 vessels of Atzilos, Shem Chinas Chesed, the Gvura, which they are the emotions, start Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Yisod, Malchus. And the first 3 parts of Atzilos is Chabad, Chochma, Bin, and Das. So when Hashem encloses himself in the level of Chochma of Atzilos, or let's say Bin of Atzilos, or Chesed of Atzilos, then you can call Hashem, then Hashem has titles. Shnikra Chochem, Mitzad Hislapshusa b'Chochma. So you call Hashem Chochem. What does it mean Hashem is a Chochem? It's the way that Hashem invests his Ein Soif in the level of Chachma Vatzilus. Kamaimer Elio, like Elio says in Tikunei Zayar, he says, Ant Chakim, that Hashem is Chachma. Pirush, what does that mean? Shemesaper ba'an v'sanusay, that we're telling over the humility of Hashem. What does that mean? Shemash pelas atzmei lislabish b'vchinas kli Chachma, that Hashem lowers himself and encloses himself in the vessel of Chachma. Imeyese sha'chachma ene erech alav klal kanal. Even though that Chachma of Atzilos is be'ein areich to ein seif. Therefore, mashbas atzmi lislabish b'chinas chesed, he lowers himself and he encloses himself in the level of chesed. V'nikra oz hagoda chesed. So once Hashem encloses himself in Chachma of Atzilos, so then you can call him either he's great or he's a chesed. And this is what it means, that his greatness is his humility, through his humility and himself lowering himself down. Through the Ein Sof, enclothing himself in the level of Chesed. So then Dafke, you can call Hashem a Godel. When it comes to the essence of Hashem, that's higher than any title. So what does it mean? If you want to know the greatness of Hashem, then Hashem has to lower himself down. So he says, "Vayter v'hinei shmeisav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu heim hakelim de'eser sfiras d'Atzilus." The names of Hashem are the vessels for the 10 levels of Atzilus. So mislabish bahem eid ein seif Baruch Hu, that Ein Sof enclosed itself in the kelim of Atzilus, umisyachid imoyim betachlis hayichud, and it unites and becomes one with the kelim, with Ein Sof, al derech di'iu v'garmei uchad. Like we say about Atzilus, that him and his kelim are one. Hainu, what does that mean? Shem Kel, when you say the name of Hashem is Kel, hu b'vchinas kliyah chesed. This is the way that chesed of Ein Sof comes into. When chesed when Ein Sof comes into chesed of Atzilus, then you call Hashem Kel. V'shem Elikim, when you say the name of Hashem is Elikim, that's the way Ein Sof goes into b'vchinas kliyah gvura, goes into the vessel of gvura. V'shem Adnai, when you say that Hashem's name is Adnai, that's the way Hashem expresses it, is Ein Sof in the level of b'vchinas malchus. However, Shem Havaya, the level of Havaya, who apnimius shall call Hashemes shehem hakelim. It's the inner, the pnimius of all the kelim. What's the pnimius is Ein Sof. This is the level of the lights, the oides, which encloses itself in the vessels. The Hainu, what does that mean? B'vchinas kel. When you say that Hashem is kel, shu Hashem shebekliya chesed. This is the way Ein Sof encloses itself in chesed. Hine b'vchinas ha'or hanimshach me'Ein Sof baruch hu lislabish b'oi. This Ein Sof, which encloses itself, hu b'vchinas Shem Havaya. So you have the Shem Havaya, which that is the, like we said, that's the inner part of the kelim. And the Shem Havaya then goes and encloses itself in the Ein Sof, or Ein Sof, which is the Shem Havaya, encloses itself in, let's say, Chesed or Gvura of Atzilus, and then you can have a name of Kel, Adnai, etc. Shu b'chinas ha'Ein Sof ha'mislabish b'secha kelim anal. And not only does this work by Kel and Elikim, but all the names, the 7 names of Hashem that can't be erased. Which they are the vessels of Atzilus. And the level of Havaya is the light which encloses itself in the kelim. So to give a practical example, you have, let's say, water. So water goes, let's say, into a colored cup. So let's say you take a yellow cup, and the water now looks yellow. So is the water yellow? No. The keli made the water look like it's yellow, but the water itself didn't change. Or let's say, take for example, you have electric, or you have energy. So you have the electric, you have the energy, you have the laptop, and you have the plug. That the plug with the laptop gives energy. The plug, you put in the plug into the socket, it gives energy to the actual computer. So this is just a mashal, but perhaps you could say that the same thing with Havaya and the kelim. The kelim are like the laptop and the wires, and the Havaya is like the energy that's giving into the kelim. So when you say that Hashem, the Ein Sof is mislabish into chesed, and then you call it kel, that's the way that it's the Havaya comes into the kelim. But if you want to know what's the essence of the keli, that's the level of Havaya. That's why Havaya, the level of Havaya, could be combined with other names. Like it says, Havaya Elikim Eretz v'Shamayim. Like it says, the day that Hashem Elikim made Shamayim and Eretz. Or Ksiv, another pasuk, Havaya Tzvakis. So the question is, if we're saying that Tzvakis and Elikim are all different expressions of the Eibishter, when the Eibishter Ein Sof goes into Chesed, he's Kel, and when he goes into Adnai, he's Malchus. So how could you have Havaya and Elikim together? L'chayr is 2 different expressions. So he says, because Havaya is what brings down, is like the intermediary, which brings down the level of Ein Sof to Elikim and Tzvakis. Shem HaKelim, which is the vessels of the Eibishter. The Havaya is the intermediary between the light and the kelim. Since it's the intermediary, that's why it could connect the Eris and the kelim. It says we read in Pashas Shmos, Zeh Shmi la'olam v'zeh zichri. It says, this is my name forever and this is my remembrance. Upidish b'tikunei Zayar, the Zayar says, Tikunei Zayar says, Shmi im Yud K. If you take Shmi, which is Begematria 350, with Yud K is 15 is 365, that refers to the Shasa Leisasei. That refers to the 365 negative commandments we have in the Torah. Zichri im Vav He. Zichri with 15 is 248. Ramach mitzvahs asay, which refer to the 248 mitzvahs asay. So what's the connection between, we're saying Shmi with Yud Ke Vav Ke, what's the connection between mitzvahs and Shem Havaya? V'hainu shebechlol esatera ramach mitzvahs asay shasal leisasay, the general parts of Torah, the 365 mitzvahs leisasay and 248 mitzvahs asay, he mushurashim b'Shem Havaya, are the shadish. Where did the source of Torah come? Where is the source of mitzvahs and mitzvahs of leisa say? That is in the name of Havaya. Specifically, this is the level of Zah. Zer Anpin, the 7 midas of Atzilus, that's where the sources of Torah come from. The source of Torah of mitzvahs, Asay and leisa say, that comes from the level of Havaya of Zah of Atzilus. So he says right there, Ramach mitzvahs asay nimshachim m'chinas hachasadon shebezah. The 240 mitzvahs asay, that comes from the level of chesed of Zah. Shasa leis asay and the 365 leis asay, where do they come from? M'chinas hagvura shebezah, they come from the level of gvura and Zah. Ubehen nichlalim kol proti hadinim de isra heter. And from the level of gvura of Zah, it stems all the halachas of what's allowed and what's permitted. Kosher upasol chayav zakai. So when something in Torah says that it's kosher or it's allowed, the source of that comes from the level of chesed of Zah, which means the chesed of the Zah of Atzilus. And somebody who's over on Aleisasei, so he, if God forbid somebody is over Aleisasei, he draws down from the level of Gvura of Atzilus to deserve a punishment. And Ein Seif, who Melubish became the Zah, encloses itself in the vessels of Zah, until the Ein Seif is one with the Kelim of Atzilus, and this is the level of Shem Havaya. So what does Shem Havaya do? Shem Havaya is the intermediary between Ein Seif and the Kelim, and when it comes to the mitzvahs asay and leis asay, the shadish of the mitzvahs asay and leis asay are mushish in Havaya. So when a person does something which is not allowed, he's being mamshich, kavura of atzilus, to deserve a punishment. When something is allowed, that comes from the level of chesed of atzilus. And what Ein Seif, when Ein Seif is one with Kelim of Ziyah, that is only going to be able to be accomplished through the level of Havaya. Now we can understand why till Chana came, the name Tzvakas was not used. Only the name of Havaya was used in Torah. Chana was the first one to say Hashem Tzvakas, who he was zeicha that the Torah should be given al yadei through him. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to draw down the level of Ein Seif in Kelim of Zah of Atzilus. And from there the Torah was disseminated. And Moshe Rabbeinu's nevuah was from the level of Atzilus. Like he says, Moshe Rabbeinu's main nevuah was from the level of Atzilus. And Moshe Rabbeinu, in order for him to understand it, he had to bring the level of Atzilus into Bria, but it was in a way of Derech Maver, in a way of passing. In other words, the level of Atzilus was not enclosed into Bria, it just like passed by Bria. Rabbi Chaim Vital writes over there. However, Moshe Rabbeinu was not Zoicha to bring the level of Ein Seif into the level of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiyah. Like the way Moshe Rabbeinu was able to unite Atzilus with Ein Sof. Kach yeh misyachdim kelim de biyah. So he was not able to unite the kelim of biyah like he was able to unite the kelim of Atzilus. So number one, Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to draw down this level, and he didn't need it. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu was able to draw down the level of Atzilus Mamish. And over there, he united Ein Sof with the vessels, the Iu v'Garmiu Chad Kanal, that him and his kelim are one. However, when it came to the level of Biyah, Ein Hagilei Klal Ba'kelim, there's no revelation at all of Ein Sof in the kelim. V'lav Iu v'Garmiu Chad B'Hain, and him and his kelim in the level of Biyah are not one. So Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to draw down the level of Ein Sof into the level of Biyah, and also wasn't necessary. However, when it came to the Nevi'im after Moshe Rabbeinu, they were able to draw down the level of Ein Sof, that it should be enclosed in the level of Biyah. Which Moshe Rabbeinu did not transpire in Moshe Rabbeinu's days. Chana first said the name Tzavokes v'achareh nimshach kol hanavim, and after Chana all the Nevi'im followed her. She'inyin shem zeh meiral inyin slapshus Ein Sof b'kelim de biyah. The name Tzavokes shows how the level of Ein Sof goes into the kelim of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiyah. Lihiyos miyached imoim gamkein, that also Ein Sof could be one with these levels of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiyah. Like the Alter Rebbe says, I will explain soon. Now, they needed to draw down the level of Ein Sof into Biyah. Why? In the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, which his nuvuah was from Atzilos, so Moshe Rabbeinu, since he came from the level of Atzilos, he was able to draw down Ein Sof into Atzilos. He was able to draw down the Ein Sof into Atzilos, and this was the word of Hashem in Moshe Rabbeinu's mouth. And the Yidden actually fulfilled the entire Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu his nevuah was from Atzilus, so he brought down the Torah to the Ein Sof, to Atzilus, and the Yidden were Mekayim Torah. However, the Nevi'im afterwards, which the Yidden were not doing what Hashem wants, so the Nevi'im needed to rebuke them. Now he says, the difference between a Navi, Yisrael, and other people who give rebuke, when a prophet gives rebuke, the rebuke that a Navi gives, this is the Dvar Hashem, the word of Hashem, which is enclosed in the Navi's mouth to give rebuke. So it comes out that who's giving the rebuke? Hashem is. Therefore, the Yidden, it's interesting. Usually when you say that when you look at plain simple value, it comes out that the Yidden weren't doing Ritzeni Shel, so the Navi rebuked them, and then he chastised them, he threatened them, and they went in the ways of Hashem. Chassidus says a little bit deeper. Chassidus says that the reason why the Yidden were not doing what they were supposed to is because they were not able to get to the level of Atzilus. Moshe Rabbeinu, he drew down the Torah, but it stayed in Atzilus. So came the later generations, which were not at a spiritual level like the Yidden were in Dor HaMidbar. They weren't at the level of Atzilus. They only were able to reach the level of Biyah. So in the level of Biyah had no shaykhs to Torah. So the Nevi'im Chana saw that. So what did she do? So he says, let's start again. So therefore, Torah had to be drawn down to Biyah in order that the Torah should be fulfilled. Like I said before, that before in the times of Moshe Rabbeinu, he only drew down the level of Torah to Atzilus. So after Moshe Rabbeinu, in the times of the Nevi'im after him, because of their lack of level of understanding the level of Atzilus, the Torah was by itself and the person was by himself. So therefore, you needed to get the level of Atzilus into the level of Bria, and you needed to bring down the Dvar Hashem into the level of Bria, in order that the Yidden should have some shaykhs to it. So how do they have a connection? It is through the Dvar Hashem coming into the Navi with the Teichacham. Which goes into the level of Biyah, and from there in the mouth of the Navi. Behold, we're holding the last paragraph on Samach. Even though Api Alocha, a Navi is not allowed to innovate any new things. So he says, so what's a Navi doing? The Navi over here is not adding what more than Moshe Rabbeinu said. All the Navi is doing is he's bringing the level of Atzilus to Bria. It's like when Chassidus came out, when the Alter Rebbe came out with being Mechadish Chassidus, so he had a very, very big opposition. And Bechlal, it's like, if Chassidus was so important, why wasn't it around before the times of the Baal Shem Tov? And l'cher, it's like something new in Torah. So it says many times in the Rebbe's many sikhs about this. It's not pshat that Chassidus is something new. Chassidus is just being megala things that were hidden. So this that the Navi came and said new things, it's not saying new things or adding to what Moshe Rabbeinu said. He's just taking from the level of Atzilus and bringing it to Bria. This is the name of Tzvakis, which the Nevi'im mentioned. Tzvakis comes from the word of chelos, soldiers, legions. These are like the soldiers of the neshamis and malachim in Bria. Malachim come from the level of Bria. Of the pasuk says there's no number to his troops. They are created and are mechadish from something to nothing. And in the level of Bria, you don't have the level of godliness like you have the way in Atzilus. Nevertheless, what was the chiddush of the Nevi'im? That they were able to draw down the level of Ein Sof in Biyah, and it should have the same unification like Ein Sof has with Atzilus. Until him and his Kalim are one, until Ein Sof is enclosed in the Keli of Bria, which is called Tzvakis, which Tzvakis is like a title. That Hashem himself is Tzvakis. What is the Chiddush of Tzvakis? The Chiddush is that when Ein Sof comes to Biyah, it's Tzvakis Mamish, it's like one of the names of Hashem, like it is in the level of Atzilus. Like him and his Kalim are one with Atzilus. Like the Rambam says, and you say that became the Biyah, so too the Kalim of Biyah are one, until the Kalim of Biyah are mamish tzvais of Hashem. Not that they're separate from Hashem, it's that the Kalim of Biyah are nullified to Hashem. They are one with Hashem. He says, just like you have when the connection between the neshama and the body. Shagam, let's turn over. So he says, again, commercial, just like you have the way the neshama is with the body. Shahagam, shahaguf huakli, even though the guf, the body, is the vessel, and the main part of the person is the soul of the person. Nevertheless, so even though the neshama is the main part of the body, nevertheless, it's united with the guf. In other words, when you see a person, you don't say, oh, this is his neshama and this is his guf. You say a person's a person, it's all inclusive. It's with the body and the soul. Shinikra adam, when you call a person, it means haneshama shebeguf. It means the neshama with the body. And the guf does not have a name by itself, like it says, like a turtle, the turtle, the levush of the turtle is like one with the actual turtle, and it's actually made from the turtle. Just like when a person learns chachma. When he learns wisdom, he's called a chacham, he's called a wise man. The wisdom, before it was actually learned, it's the mahus of the chachma is not part of the person, and it's actually separated. So let's say, take for example, a person now is not fluent in Torah, or not fluent in Chumash, and he decides he learns Torah now. So you call him a Talmud Chacham. The Chachma was there before. It was just a mahus b'fnei atzma. It was an entity by itself. And the person is a identity, an entity by itself. And when the person learns Chacham, Nikra Chacham, he's called a Chacham al Shem HaChacham. Why is he called a Chacham? Because he learned the wisdom. Shehu Shem HaTeir, this is like the title of the person. So just like this works with the mashal of Chacham and Chachma, Kacha derech mashal l'mayla, the same thing in l'mayla. Even though the kelim of biyah are its own identity by itself, this is where the neshamas and the malachim come from. They're bottled to Hashem. Nevertheless, through the neviim actually drawing down the level of Ein Sof into the level of biyah, like it is in Atzilos. Then you can call Hashem Hadvayet Tzvakis. You can call Hashem the name of Hadvayet Tzvakis, Shushem Ater, which is a title. Which means that Hashem is one with Tzvakis. They're not separate entities. This is why the name of Havaya, we asked before, if the 7 Shemis refer to 7 different emotions of Hashem, so how could you be mitzvah of Shem Havaya with other names? So he says it's not a problem. Therefore, Shem Havaya mitzvah Shem Tzvakis, it's one with Tzvakis. Why? Shem Havaya hu ba'atzilus, like we said many times. The name of Havaya is in Atzilus, who Hamshachas Ein Sof became the Atzilus, and this is the way. Havaya is the way of Ein Sof in Atzilus, V'imkein. Therefore, if so, Kadeshi is Mashich, or Ein Sof B'Biyah, in order for Ein Sof to be in the level of Biyah, you need to have the level of Havaya, and in order to have Ein Sof in Tzvakis, you need to have the level of Havaya, like we said, which is the mamutza between Ein Sof and Biyah. Shem Havaya mitzvah Shem Tzvakis. Kishem Havaya hu ba'atzilus. V'hu hamshachas Ein Sof became ba'atzilus. V'imkein case. So we did this already. Lach Hashem shichu ha'neviim b'chinazu. And after the Nevi'im drew down this level into Biyah, Ozeh Chichras Yisrael b'Shem Zeh. Therefore, then the Yidden were rebuked with this name. From this level of Tzvakis, that's where the Nevi'im were able to get the Dvar Hashem Mamish, and this is not similar to other rebukes. Shiati Chochas Hanivra, which other rebukes, that's the Nivra, that's the creation, the creature giving rebuke. However, when it came to Teichacha Navi, it's not the Navi giving the Teichacha, it's the way that the Eibishter is being mislabish, is Dvar Hashem in the Navi. In other words, the way Ein Sof is in Biyah through the Navi. So, like this. So now, what gives us the koyach for Ein Sof to be in the level of Biyah? So he says that comes from the level of how is this possible? For the level of Ein Sof to be enclosed in Biyah, just like the way it is in Atzilos, the Nevi'im were able to get this from the level of Seviv Kol Amim, Asher Sham, and the level of Seviv, Kechashecha Ka'eda Shavim. Light and dark is all the same thing. And Hashavu Mashver Kotem V'Gadol, over there, somebody who's small, somebody who's big, it's all the same thing when it comes to Seviv. Shudafke Yochli Shafel Es Atzmi Lamata Gam B'Biyah. Dafke, this level, he's able to lower himself from the level of Seviv, is he able to lower himself into the level of Biyah. When it comes to the level of Seviv, everybody is all equal to Hashem. Like it says, now we can understand what Chana says. Al Hashem. It doesn't say by Chana. It doesn't say about Ispalal El Hashem. She davened to Hashem. It says Al Hashem. She davened on Hashem. What does that mean? And what does she say? Havayet Tzvakis. In order for Chana to draw down the level of Ein Sof, in the level of Tzvakis, in the level of Biyah, it had to be from the level of Havaya, Al Havaya. In other words, Hainu L'mayla Mishem Havaya. She had to attain the level of Al Havaya in order to draw down into Biyah. Okay, so on Tuesday we'll finish this mimer and then finish the